The African Union has launched the single African air transport market at the ongoing 30th AU Summit in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, almost 3 decades after it was first proposed. The launch follows closely on moves by several African countries to relax visa rules for African nationals. The single air transport market is expected to result in more regular direct flights between African countries and also enhance connectivity between African nations and a reduction in flight ticket prices. The launch of the SAATM is expected to promote trade, cross-border investments in the production and service industries, including tourism. And also, it would result in the creation of an additional 300,000 direct and 2 million indirect jobs. All right, let's break this down. Aviation analyst Ojuri is in the studio. Many thanks for your time, Tayo. Yeah, thank you for coming on Business Tonight all the time.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes, this is a good one coming from the AU Summit, I must say.
Yes,
but tell us, how does this work?
It's actually well overdue, based on the Yamoussoukro Accord of Declaration of 1998 and the decision of 1999. And obviously, due to legal hitches, it wasn't implemented in 2015. However, with this now, we actually now have a liberalization of 23 countries that have signed to the solemn declaration. What does that give them? Liberalization now offers them an opportunity to open new routes and new frequencies. There's been a big challenge of intra-African travel, especially with African carriers. You have to go out of Africa to come into Africa, to travel within Africa. So this actually would help us with shorter travel times. This would help us with lower fares, because you have to curtail, you'll be able to curtail the issue of after traveling to Europe to be able to go to North America. Sorry, North Africa.
But tell us, why is it like that?
It's just the cost and the bilateral agreements. You find out that most of the European airlines come in here, the trans-African routes actually are not as, is more cheaper. It's more expensive, rather, to go out and come in. But obviously, because of the hub and spoke system, the passenger has to go to the hub, then come back in. But with this, actually creates an opportunity for lots of players within the African ecosystem to actually provide services.
Okay, but let's look at the terrain at the moment, the environment, some African countries where we have the issues of terrorism. Do you think African leaders are looking in this direction when we talk about boosting trade, promoting trade and tourism? How do they intend to handle these issues?
Terrorism is a global phenomenon, but what their issues, their regulations that have been put in place to curtail this. We have the Advanced Passenger Information System, which actually, and there's the no-fly list, which everybody knows about. So with this kind of regulations in place, it curtails the flow and movement of terrorists or those that are on the government watch list. So that actually curtails it. Then what this regulation or liberalization will do as well is promote tourism, like you rightly said. However, it's providing that enabling environment for tourism through a secured, safe ecosystem within the cities.
Okay, now let's look at, yes, we're happy that it's going to provide additional jobs. We know the rate of unemployment or employment in the African countries at the moment. But yes, it's solely brought about to promote trade. But how much of trade is this going to promote? And first off, what's on ground for trade within Africa when it comes to air transport?
Air transport is not just trade. When you look at trade, you're looking at trade not just in goods. You're looking at trade in terms of goods, human services, and services. Trade in terms of tourism. You look at what air travel contributes to the economy as at now is about $6.8 million. And actually...
in Africa or in Nigeria?
In Africa.
Okay.
And with that, you actually, with this, we envisage that with the 23 countries that have signed this, with a population of about 600 million people, we're going to have a total GDP which has a total GDP of at 2015 of $1,450 billion. And with this, there will be potential increase in passenger traffic up to 200 million. That's going to affect trade. Over and beyond that, we actually have movement of goods as well. You find out that there are lots of goods with Lagos and Nigeria being the hub or potential hub. You're able to bring in goods and you're able to separate them to the west coast of Africa.
Africa. Okay, but where does this place Africa globally? Because I know from statistics that I was able to get, Nigeria contributes when it comes to trade about not Nigeria, Africa, about 1%. And that 1% gives about 26% or thereabout of the global turnover when it comes to trade. So where does this place Africa with this latest SAA that we have? Where does this place Africa, globally?
What it does, or what's going to do for Africa globally is, obviously, IATA has actually forecasted there will be growth within Africa itself, up to 2036. With that growth, you actually have a growth in GDP as well. You have growth in the middle class. And what this gives Africa is the movement of the middle class, movement of people, and you actually have low cost of operations for the airline and for companies, which will be a draw and an attraction for more businesses to for increased foreign direct investment into Africa. What does that give us? Disposable income for travel as well. That actually helps us develop the environment where tourism actually, once people are gainfully employed, it reduces the risk of security challenges.
Okay, so do you think that this sort of agreement will make Africans stay in Africa, looking at what's happening in the U.S. and what President Trump really wants for America, the protectionism thing?
Absolutely. Africa is a big market, and obviously it has the potential. So with this growth, or potential growth, we see that it's going to blossom and it's going to evolve eventually. This is actually a step in the right direction, okay, where we actually see...
I was actually going to ask the reaction of aviation experts on this.
Well, there's the fear, okay, because obviously there are the challenges of African airlines they've actually not been as stable over the years. Yes. Lots of entrants and exits. And with this, you find out lots of the major countries are actually protective of their national carriers. Okay. So you find that there's that issue, as well as there's not much information. Even the process is not as, you still have 7 concrete steps before this, before the single African transport market is implemented. Okay. So the implementation is a challenge, and the devil is indeed in the detail.
All right, then we'd have to leave it at that, aviation analyst.
Thank you.
Ojuri, thank you so much for your time.
Always my pleasure.